Doing these oil changes and this unit is running in an outage, you want to first flip it to the off position, okay? Let it run for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then you're going to press the off button on the control board over here, okay? Once you do that, you really want to walk away from it for a little while. It's going to be extremely hot. You don't want to touch this thing. It's not going to be fun for your fingertips, okay? So let's just say you leave it for about an hour, and you come back and you want to change the oil, okay? So like I said, on day 4 you'll just be checking it, and you can use that with your dipstick. However, once you do shut it down, give it about 10 minutes or so before you check the level, just it gets jumbled up with that oil inside of the unit, okay? So let's just say we're changing the oil here, okay? So after your hour, you're gonna first come over here, take your dipstick out, and as you can probably tell, there's a lot of orange inside of this unit here. All that orange is directly related to service work, so anything you see in orange will be, you know, you can use or change throughout service work. However, this right here is one of the only things you cannot. That is just an orifice control for the unit from LP to natural gas. So you don't have to worry about that, but everything else in orange you will be using, okay? So this is your air filter box. That is your dipstick. This is your oil reservoir. This is your oil drain, and this is your oil filter right here, okay? So I always like to get the dipstick and the reservoir cap out and set it to the side and get it out the way. And then next, we'll get the oil filter off. You want to have something to kind of catch the oil with, okay? A little Tupperware like this works just fine. Just kind of sits right underneath it, and you can go ahead and loosen that up, okay? Yeah, you're definitely going to want to cut these bushes.
Yeah, I will.
You're not going to have fun back here if not.
I don't think a snake's coming to get me, so I'll...
Oh yeah, no, they got some thorns on them. I can feel them stabbing me back there.
Oh, no.
It's all right. I've worked in much more difficult positions, I promise you. Okay, so I like to get the old box for the oil filter just to put it in. It's just easier. So you just kind of loosen it, go counterclockwise until it comes off of there. You pour your old oil right inside. And you take your old filter and just kind of stick it away somewhere, okay? All right, so once that's done, you'll have to drain your oil. Now on these units, they have an oil drain on the side right here. You just would uncinch this and undo that cap and kind of put it downwards underneath the generator and let gravity do its thing, okay? However, I'm not gonna be draining it like that. We have these handy dandy pumps right here that make my life a lot easier. So this is how I drain it, but like I said, that would be...
So this little thing just comes...
Yeah, absolutely. That just comes off right there. Do you see how it works? Here, I'll show you. So this little piece just uncinches like so. And you'll just kind of slide it out.
Got it.
And this is just a screw-on cap. And you would just kind of get an old milk jug or a glass jar, whatever you got to hold some oil in it. And you'll just drain it out through that little cap once you take it off, okay?
How long does that thing take to drain?
After it's been running for a while in an outage, not very long, maybe a couple of minutes. Just because that oil is so hot, it does come out rather quickly. Okay. So you're not going to have to wait a whole long time to get it all out. So give it, you know, 5, maybe 10 minutes tops, and it should come out rather quick, okay? All right, let me jump to the side here. We'll pump this stuff out and get some fresh oil in there for you. Yeah, a lot of folks have been inquiring where to buy these after seeing how much easier this was.
I have one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I think it's full though. I gotta get it emptied.
Yeah, get me set up in the easiest manner possible.
Oh, yeah, no, that's way easier. As long as you got a tube that'll fit down in there, you're going to be good to go. So on your next step, you're going to take your oil filter, get a little bit of oil on your fingertip, and just go right around that gasket there, okay? And then you'll go ahead and put that right back on.
You don't pre-fill the filter?
Do not pre-fill the filter.
Okay.
Just go right on with it. And now you want to make sure it goes on smooth and glides on, just like that. And then you'll do about a quarter of a turn once you kind of get to a stopping point, okay? Just to make sure it's good and snug. You don't want it falling off, and you don't want it too terribly tight because it'll be really hard to get off. And I always kind of go around the outside of the gasket with a towel just to kind of dry things off a little bit, get any residual oil out of the way, okay? And now we wait. Now, another good practice while we're waiting for this oil to drain is just checking your air filter, okay? The little clasp down at the bottom just comes up, this slides away, and you just kind of smack it a little bit. And you can check your air filter out, okay? You always want to look down here. Sometimes there can be some oil, so just wipe it out, okay? You put your air filter back. All right, so now our draining of the oil is just about complete. I'm gonna suck this up that's in this Tupperware down here. Okay. Okay. So now your oil is out. You put this back on, and just make sure whenever you put these on, there's these little tabs in the back. See how that's just kind of sloppy? Yeah, perfect. As long as you get those lined up, it'll go right in place, okay? All right, let me just check you out. I think it was 24. Oops. 23, okay. So every time we do this, we always check the hours and put a date and the hours that it was changed on the oil filter. That way you know how much time you have from when we change it to the next interval you need to change it at, okay? And we always initial the bottom just so you know who was here last. Okay, so now we can go ahead and add the oil in. Now I've pre-poured these right here, so these are both gonna go entirely in. One is a little bit less than a full quart. So you really don't wanna ever put 2 full quarts in here. If you look in your owner's manual, it'll tell you 1.9 quarts. However, if you put 1.9 quarts in here, you're gonna be asking for trouble. There's always gonna be some residual oil left over in the unit that you're never gonna get out. So go about 1.7 quarts, okay? And I'll show you on the side of the bottle here, kind of how to measure that out. So you'll put 1 full quart entirely in. On the next quart, if we didn't have it pre-poured already, you would kind of go down to right around that 300 milliliter mark, okay? And if honestly, as long as you're between the 3 and the 4, you're gonna be totally fine. Closer to the 300 be a perfect pour. Anything less, you're just gonna be a little bit underneath. But less is more in these situations. You'd rather underfill it than overfill it any day of the week. If you overfill it, you're gonna be inviting problems, bending push rods, getting oil in your exhaust. You don't wanna do all that. And then this one will go in as well. Okay, so once your pour is done, cap everything up. You can put your oil reservoir cap back on. You can take a reading if you like, but if you just poured the amount I told you, it would be perfect every time, okay? Now these things can be a little hard to read as well, just to kind of give you a heads up. A good way to check it is to take a paper towel. After you're done, kind of wrap it around and go till it starts really absorbing right there. Kind of see that? How you get an absorption on the towel there? It can be hard to see it. That's why I recommend doing this. It just makes it easier on the eyes to know where your levels are, okay? And like I said, as long as you're pouring that amount in every time, you really don't even need to take a measurement, okay?
Okay.
All right. So once this is all said and done here, let me actually get some of this off the generator. Can I step over here by you for one moment? Just gonna throw this stuff in here so we can kick it back on. Okay, so once everything is all said and done with and you're ready to kick the unit back on, the first thing that you're gonna do is come to the control board here. You'll press auto on the control board. After that, your unit's gonna recognize that you still have a power outage, okay? It'll do about a 10-second countdown, and then it'll turn the unit on. Once 10 seconds passes, you're gonna give it another 20 to 30 seconds, okay? Before you engage this breaker over here. Once you engage the breaker, it'll begin resupplying power to the home, okay?
Okay.
So like I said, let it kick on, let it run for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then boom, hit that breaker. You'll have power, air conditioning, the whole 9 yards, okay?
Yes.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns at all?
When we're in a storm situation, people keep telling me, you can't let it run. You can't
Yes,
go
you
for 4 days. You've got to come give it a break and let it cool off.
If you call Generac right now, the thing that they're going to tell you is this is designed to run for extended periods of time. You can let it run the whole time. My unit ran for 16 days straight. The only time I shut it down was to change the oil, and that lasted for 15 minutes, and then it's back at it again in action. So they're designed to run. Like I said, if you talk to Generac, anybody over there is going to tell you the same thing I just told you. I mean, it's not going to hurt the unit to turn it off at all, but what's the point really?
If it made anything less that I have to do is better for me, but I don't want to do something that's going to overheat it or anything like that too.
As long as you are just turn it off, you know, like I said, every 4 days you want to check it. So every 4 days you're going to turn it off for about an hour or so. It's going to sit, you know, cooling itself down. It's going to be hot. You know, they're designed to deal with that kind of heat. They're air-cooled units. It will be scalding on the fingertips when you probably touch that oil filter if you don't let it rest for a little while. Because I know all the units that we changed during item, it was miserable to touch everything for sure, but you know, we're in a pinch. You got to get things done. So gloves are a good thing to have in store whenever you're doing these things, just to keep your hands from getting seared a little bit. But other than that, no, you let it ride, let it give you power, let it do what you've paid for this thing to do, to supply you with electricity. Okay. Yeah. All right.